Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk about something that one of you has asked that gets brought up from time to time because I compete in powerlifting and I talk about unhealthy bodybuilding is to compete in. And it's always brought up, and it's a very good question. At the top levels of powerlifting, is it as unhealthy as bodybuilding? Probably so. Largely due to the amount of drugs being used at the top levels in powerlifting being pretty similar to what's being used in the top levels of bodybuilding, minus all the site enhancement and synthol, which creates its own set of health problems down the road. But you have all of that heavy, really heavy weight being used, higher chance of injury, while the bodybuilding is just as dangerous on the diet side by restricting people down to getting down to 5% body fat or 6% body fat, which is always unhealthy. The problem with that is that the overwhelming majority of people who compete in either one, less than 1% of them are ever going to be at the top level. So those top level concerns don't matter to the other 99% of competitors. Where this makes this statement not true in the sense that they're equally unhealthy is that in bodybuilding, even at the lowest levels, at the amateur level, in natural bodybuilding and little tiny feds, they still expect you to be so lean today that it's unhealthy. Whereas in powerlifting, someone whose goal is to just get to a 300 bench and a 500-pound deadlift who still competes in powerlifting, which would be the vast majority of people who compete. Most people who compete in powerlifting don't even hit those numbers, believe it or not. The majority who do meets don't reach those numbers. So accordingly, we're talking about people who are just training for overall strength. A lot of them may not be obese or fat the way people describe it, or even above 200 pounds. The majority of powerlifters weigh less than 200 pounds who compete. A pretty good chunk of them are on no drugs at all. Most of them are not lifting such heavy weights that it becomes detrimental. So therefore, powerlifting isn't automatically unhealthy by default, whereas in bodybuilding, the requirements are that you become so lean that it's actually unhealthy, that it's bad for your body. And for many, it leads to body image disorders and eating disorders as a result of the dieting and the strains put upon them to compete, even at the lowest levels of this endeavor. So overall, for the majority competing, bodybuilding is far, far more unhealthy and has nothing to do with fitness when compared to powerlifting, which can very much have to do with fitness at the lower levels. And I agree that both at the top levels are extremely unhealthy, but when we start going further down the chain to where the majority of people who compete are, bodybuilding is still unhealthy. Powerlifting isn't necessarily unhealthy and can contribute more to overall fitness, mainly because they're not lifting such heavy weights that they're dangerous, and in the bodybuilding, people are dieting down or forced to diet down to a level that is unhealthy, that has a very high chance of causing you physical health problems and mental health problems. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.